This is CBN News Watch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN News Watch. I'm Ephraim Graham. It is Wednesday, July 16th. I want to begin this half hour in the Middle East, where Israel's prime minister has a razor-thin majority in parliament after an Orthodox party pulled out of the coalition. All of this comes as Israel is striking Syrian forces near the border and violence is surging in the West Bank. Chuck Holton reports now on our top story from Jerusalem.
Israeli warplanes struck Syrian government positions in southern Syria this week, just miles from the Israeli border. The airstrikes targeted regime forces accused of backing tribal militias attacking Druze civilians in Sweda province.
The truth is that the de facto authority is an exclusionary power and cannot execute. The promises it made to European countries and America are contradicted by what is happening on the ground, which goes against all the promises and commitments it made. It is unable to control those groups.
Israel says the strikes were necessary to enforce the demilitarized buffer zone and protect Druze residents. But reports say the bombing campaign was paused at the request of the United States, who feared further escalation. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is now facing a serious political crisis. The ultra-Orthodox United Torah Judaism Party has officially left the coalition over a proposed draft law that would require yeshiva students to serve in the military. That move drops Netanyahu's majority to just 61 seats, barely enough to govern, and it's already sparking celebration among some Orthodox communities.
They want to recruit us in the army and to destroy us. And thank God we welcome them, that they've returned to us. They made the best move they could have done.
The fallout could complicate ceasefire talks with Hamas and give far-right members of Netanyahu's coalition even more leverage to push for a prolonged war in Gaza. And in Judea and Samaria, tensions are boiling. A Palestinian American was shot and killed near Ramallah, prompting Ambassador Huckabee to call for an investigation. Meanwhile, church leaders are accusing Israeli authorities of allowing violent settler attacks after an assault on the Christian village of Taibe.
Simple people, farmers, that they are under attacks from those radical groups, that they take the law in their hands and do all sorts of things, right? And therefore, it's part and parcel of our moral obligation to raise our voice and awareness.
The Knesset is now preparing hearings on full Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, even as violence across the region continues. From Jerusalem, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
I want to continue our coverage now with Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. He is joining us. So, Chris, the fighting in southern Syria seems to be increasing. What are the consequences and what have you heard about atrocities against the Druze there?
Well, it's a very serious development, Ephraim. One thing we have heard in just the last hour or so is that the IDF has hit the Defense Department of Syria, the Syrian regime, in Damascus. And I think that's sending a very clear signal to the al-Jilani regime that if you don't stop these attacks against the Druze in southern Syria, then there's more that will be coming from the IDF. In terms of the atrocities, I've been hearing and seeing videos of humiliation. What these jihadists are doing many times, Ephraim, is that they're actually shaving these people, which is just so humiliating to these people. There's also been videos of executions of the Druze. And so what this is these Islamists, the jihadists, are waging this jihad against the Druze community, which is bringing the Druze community in Israel wanting to go there to defend their brethren. So it's a very serious development. All the while this is supposedly happening, while normalization talks are going on between the new regime of al-Jilani and Israel, and this certainly complicates things and makes you wonder if these normalization talks will actually succeed.
President Trump will be meeting with the Emir of Qatar about a potential ceasefire in Gaza. Could this happen? And what do some say about the role of Qatar in Gaza?
Well, it certainly seems like the Emir is making it a very serious pitch to President Trump to try to bring this what's called a 60-day ceasefire with possible return of all the hostages, or at least some of the hostages, and perhaps what Hamas has been demanding all along is an end to the fighting and also a permanent ceasefire, while Israel is saying that it's a non-starter. The role of Qatar, Ephraim, has been very problematic to a lot of people for many years. Is that they have been funding Hamas for years. They host many of the Hamas leaders in their capital of Doha, and so many people have really been questioning the mediating role of Qatar in these ceasefire talks, claiming that they are both the arsonists, setting things on fire by funding and fueling Hamas, and then being the firemen to try to put the fire out and bring along a ceasefire.
An Israeli organization recently released a report on settler violence in Judea and Samaria. What were its conclusions, and why is this relevant right now?
Well, it's relevant right now because of the story of what's going on in Taipei, and also what this group is called is Ragavim. They published a survey and a conclusion to much of the data that they've been compiling over years is this myth of quote-unquote settler violence. Let me explain. What they say is that it's highly exaggerated. They don't deny that it does exist, but they're saying that over the years, the number of settler violence incidents is much lower than what people would think. And they believe there's a coordinated campaign by many NGOs, by left-wing organizations to try to exaggerate what's going on with settler violence and demonize Israel and the people that live in Judea and Samaria. So it's a very comprehensive report. Maybe people should read that. Ragavim.com is where you could find that, and they go into very detailed analysis of this whole idea behind settler violence.
About 30 seconds left, but have to ask you, Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition is down to 61 seats. Can his government survive?
It's very on the knife's edge right now, Ephraim. There's another party called Shas that may withdraw. One saving grace is that there's going to be a recess of the Knesset, so he might have until October to bring his coalition back together, but very, very difficult times politically for Benjamin Netanyahu.
We'll be watching that. Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, thank you so much for your insights. Looking forward to seeing and hearing from you more in the days ahead. I want to turn now to New York City, where Zohran Mamdani is the frontrunner to become the next mayor of the city with the world's largest Jewish population. He has some Jewish support, but there is concern he opposes Israel, and some observers have accused him of anti-Semitism. Dale Hurt has this story.
The winner of New York's Democratic primary says if elected mayor, he'd arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu if he ever sets foot in the city. Zohran Mamdani also declined to condemn the phrase globalize the intifada 3 times on NBC's Meet the Press, a slogan which means a worldwide attack against Israel and the Jewish people.
Do you condemn that phrase, globalize the intifada?
Ultimately, it's not language that I use. It's language I understand there are concerns about. And what I will do is showcase my vision for the city through my words and my action.
Here's a Mamdani social media post making fun of Hanukkah. He's also been an outspoken supporter of the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement, which seeks to isolate and destroy Israel. And during the Democratic primary debate, he refused to recognize Israel's right to exist in its present form. Still, Zohran Mamdani insists he's not anti-Semitic and would work to protect the city's Jews.
Every anti-Semite that I've ever come across in my life says they're not an anti-Semite.
Former New York State Assemblyman Dov Hikind, the founder of Americans Against Anti-Semitism, says Mamdani should be judged by what he's done, not by what he says.
If you join people who are chanting vicious anti-Israel, anti-Semitic chants, you're part of that, whether you say the words or not. So, just a week ago, he said, I'm going to set aside more money than ever to fight anti-Semitism. The only thing is, he's the problem. He is the problem. He represents the outbreak of Jew hatred in America, in New York, that we have never seen before, not in my lifetime, that's for sure.
Daniel Greenfield, a former New Yorker, is CEO of the David Horowitz Freedom Center.
The question is, does he support the murder of Jews? Whether or not you consider yourself technically an anti-Semite does not matter very much.
What has been perplexing for some has been the Jewish support for Mamdani.
I'm a Jewish New Yorker. I'm a Jewish New Yorker. I'm a Jewish New Yorker.
I'm a Jewish New Yorker, and I'm ranking Zohran #1 in the Democratic primary on June 24th.
We asked Heikind what he makes of it.
Honestly, I'm not shocked by any of it. It's part of Jewish history that we have people who betray the Jewish people.
Polling shows most Jewish voters support former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo by a wide margin. He's running as an independent after losing to Mamdani by more than 12 points in the primary. Greenfield is skeptical of sizable Jewish support for Mamdani because so few New Yorkers voted in the primary.
He won with very minimal turnout. About 5 to 7% of New Yorkers actually voted for him.
A socialist, Mamdani is also under fire for wanting rent freezes, city-owned grocery stores, and for this statement.
Do you think that billionaires have a right to exist?
I don't think that we should have billionaires.
Don't underestimate this guy. The guy is smooth, he's suave, he speaks well. More dangerous than almost anyone else that I've come across in a very, very long time.
The Mamdani campaign did not respond to our request for an interview. Meanwhile, New York's Jews and non-Jews are mobilizing to try to keep Zohran Mamdani from winning. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Here now, some other stories we're following for you in the CBN newsroom. A daring rescue after a plane crash in South Florida in a neighborhood Sunday, and it was all captured on a doorbell camera. The small aircraft slammed into a tree burning close to a resident's home. The resident and neighbors were able to use a fire extinguisher, axe, and a hose to rescue all 4 people on the plane. U.S. inflation is on the rise. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows June's consumer prices were up 2.7% compared to a year ago, and up 0.3% from May's numbers. Core inflation, which doesn't factor in volatile prices like food and energy costs, also rose up 0.2% from May. Coming up, a new wave of persecution against Christians in China. The greater government cracking down on churches, but the church continues to grow. We're going to have the details next. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Rising economic pressures are creating social unrest in China, and that's led to a new wave of persecution against Christians. The government is arresting pastors simply for collecting offerings, and foreign ministry activities are being restricted. Despite the crackdown, the church continues preaching the gospel, and Christianity is growing. Gary Lane reports.
China is experiencing social unrest due to a slowing economy, thanks in part to increased tariffs on exports to the U.S. Jeff King, president of International Christian Concern, believes while the nation is approaching a tipping point, there is still hope.
Masses are fed up. They are marching in the streets, especially the students. Huge rallies going on calling for democracy. But when there is that pressure, when there is that pain, that's when people feel the need. So they're looking to democracy, which would be a wonderful thing. But what they really need is faith.
As more Chinese citizens turn to Christianity, Xi Jinping is responding with renewed crackdowns. On May 1st, his government imposed new restrictions on foreign missionaries.
For the most part, those who remain hidden will stay, probably until they're caught and thrown out.
Foreigners can't preach or teach without prior authorization, which is rarely granted without Communist Party oversight. This is why many missionaries there conceal their evangelistic activities.
Have you heard of any leaving, being forced to leave? Some left already, China?
I know nearly every foreign Christians who are missionaries, but under the name of a business or even student, and many other even tent making, like medical and even supporting the orphanage services, are totally being kicked out and banned from serving and singing in China.
The government is also demanding hymns sung in China's registered 3 self-patriotic churches be consistent with communist principles.
Every Sunday, before they sing the doxology, they have to rise up and sing the communist anthem, the national communist anthem. first, to sing the praises of the communist heroes instead of worshiping the name of Lord Jesus Christ.
Bob Fu, president of China Aid, an organization that assists persecuted Christians there, reveals the Communist Party monitors Christians through strategically placed cameras and facial recognition software.
All the four corners of the church, including the pulpit, has to install face recognition cameras in order to monitor all those who are attending the church worship service. And even the tithing and offering is called a foreign religious service, now is totally criminalized, especially in the house churches. So many house church pastors are arrested just because they set up an offering, a tithing box in the church.
The charge against those pastors is business fraud. Over 2 years ago, public security police arrested 3 pastors from the Lin Then Covenant Church on these charges. They went on trial in May. China Aid reports one pastor was sentenced to 2 years in prison. 2 others received more than 3.5 years.
Simply for having their church with a Sunday school and with an offering box for tithing and offering in their church.
Fu and King argue that despite Xi Jinping's crackdown, Christianity is growing in China.
Last year, they had planted 2 more churches under the heaviest persecution. So we have seen many house churches had experienced revival.
While their pastor Wang Yi serves a 9-year prison sentence, members of the Early Rain Covenant Church are igniting the fires of revival.
I can never understand, the Marxist leaders, how they don't get this. The more you press down, the more the church spreads. Christians have a long history of dealing with chains and oppression, and again, nothing stops them. It's such a great story.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Still ahead, we're sitting down with singer and songwriter Casey J, who is celebrating a musical milestone. Stay with us. You're watching CBN News Watch. Welcome back to CBN News Watch. It's a milestone year for singer and songwriter Casey J, and she is celebrating sharing new music for the first time in 3 years.
Where you are, I wanna be. I wanna be there.
So how would you describe career-wise these last 10 years? What's it been like?
I think what I feel is almost, and we talk about this really kind of flippantly when we talk about full circle moments, but I think I've lived enough life to see the way God has started to piece experiences together and that he hasn't wasted like a chapter or a season. And I'm now at the place where I have enough purview to see like, oh, you took something from 9th grade and brought it with something when I was 26 and then it turned into something. So I'm able to see the hand of God from like a little bit further of a perspective, which is really beautiful for me. Yeah.
Nice. Speaking of, so the single that's out now, it's called Song of My Life.
The song of my life will always be, you are good forever. You are good forever.
Is it personally inspired? Where'd it come from?
It's a couple of things. I co-wrote it with one of my closest friends and my brother, Chris House, and we are both church kids. And so we talk about what it means to come from a legacy of faith. There's only so much that you're going to live through others. Eventually, you're going to be a part of your own legacy of faith, and what would you want to be said about you? And so I think that is sort of the lens with which we wrote the song from. But then biblically, there's a passage in 2 Chronicles that talks about them going into battle, and they sang on their way in and they sang on their way out. And the song that they sang is that God is good forever.
The song of your life will always be, he is good forever.
Indeed, indeed. So you have 3 albums behind you now?
This will be the 3rd, yeah. So we're actually breaking it into 2 parts. So it'll be The Stories We Sing, Volume 1. And then we'll do a little live situation for The Stories We Sing, Volume 2.
Well, you have shared the 5 tracks with us, so I just want to get your take on each real quick. So I'm going to give you each and get your reaction. So we open up with One Day, correct?
We started to realize that God is not just for a place with a steeple and a pew. that wherever the Spirit of the Lord is, like, that is where we want to be. And so one day is kind of encapsulates that verse. Better is one day in your house than 1,000 elsewhere.
Song of my life, which we've talked about, but your reaction there again.
What I love about Song of My Life, I feel like it's American worship with a passport.
Say that one time. Here's a promise.
I love that you get some kind of this world feel, but with the truth of the gospel.
Next, come take a seat.
Oh, so I wrote this with my brother, KJ Scriven.
Come sit with me. Come sit with me. I'm your daily bread. I'm your daily bread. Say I'll be all.
So we wrote this as a sort of modern retelling of the communion table. And so it was this idea to paint a new picture or a more updated picture that includes others. That, like, no, communion is for you. It's not something for you to watch and commemorate, but communion is actually something you get to take part in.
Casey J's single, Song of My Life, is available wherever you purchase your music. Her new album will premiere soon, and of course, we'll keep you updated on that release. Hey, join us tonight for an all-new edition of Studio 5. We're sitting down with BB and CeCe Winans, who are sharing news of a reunion. And preacher, producer, author, and actor Devon Franklin, he's previewing his one-man show. It's his raw and most revealing project ever. You can catch the all-new episode of Studio 5 on the CBN News Channel at 8 Eastern. You can also watch it on the CBN News app, or you can find it on YouTube. Stay with us. Your Wednesday Word is coming up next. Time now for your Wednesday Word, and today's word is just that word. Remember this: words create worlds. Watch what you say, brick by brick. You are building your tomorrow with the words you speak today. Mind what you say. Confessions have consequences, as it is written in Scripture. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time. You can also find them online. That is cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Make today a wonderful Wednesday and come back and join us right here, same time tomorrow. Goodbye, God bless, and thank you for watching.